Hello. In this video, we're going to look at creating a poke interactable and a 3D user interface. So in the last video, we talked a little bit about home space environments, so check that out. And we also created this 2D, really flat surface that is a menu. But it's flat and boring, and when we're in VR, we kind of want things to feel immersive and have dimension and have the sensation that we are actually touching it. So creating a point interactable is going to give us that feeling that we are pressing a button in and out. I sculpted prior to this, so I'm going to turn this user interface off, and I sculpted using ShapeLab VR. If you haven't yet, maybe you want to go and create a little interface, a 3D interface using Blender or whatever you use, ShapeLab, etc. When you're done with that, I have a 3D models folder, so I'm going to right click and import new asset. And here it's an FBX. I'm going to drag it into my hierarchy, and I want to rename it. I want it to be where my camera rig is. So for a camera rig, you can come over here in the transform, click these three dots and do copy position. And here I'm going to do paste position. Cool. Oh, it's a little bit right on my player, so I'll move it back a little and down, and it's sort of angled already, so I need to see what the position is in VR, but I want it pretty close to the player because in the home space we aren't giving them locomotion, so they need to be able to just like reach and poke, and so it'll be right sort of like underneath where a keyboard sort of would be if you're sitting down at a desk. So this is her. She's really simple. I was just going pretty quickly, but you will notice that these buttons here, they are separate objects from the main piece. So each button I can move around separately from the full interface. And right click and go to prefab and unpack. That way I can toggle down and play with different shapes here. I'm going to drop a different color onto my object here. So these are my buttons, and this is going to be my main screen. So I need to add a panel to it. And I think I want it to be able to like touch and poke the panel. So I'm going to go ahead and on my 3D interface, actually outside of the interface, I'll right click, and similarly to what we did in the last video, I'm going to go to UI and create canvas, and then change the render mode to world space. And here I have event system from the last video, so I'm just going to toggle that on because I need that for canvas to work. Right click the canvas and UI and add panel, and then you can just resize it, and then I'm going to position it right here, right in the middle of my 3D piece. And yeah, when you reposition, make sure you are on canvas and repositioning, and not on panel and repositioning. Just keep that in mind. Okay, so I just changed source image to knob and it made it more circular. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted. Awesome. Okay, so now I've got a like a panel and a canvas here. I can make an about panel and a controls panel. First, I'll just maybe make a background panel, a button panel or something. I don't know. Panel 2. So I'm just gonna copy and paste that and pressed panel. So whenever I press the button, this second panel will show and it will be a different color. But for right now, I'm just going to toggle that off. Next up, we're on our poke interactable. So right click and create empty, call it poke interactable. I'm gonna take this first button capsule here and I'm going to move it into my poke interactable here. On the parent object, add a component called poke interactable script here. It's got surface patch. So I'm hovering over and it says represents the pokeable surface area of the interactable. So we have to create a pokeable surface. So on your parent object, right click, create empty, and call it surface. Add a plane surface component. And so here, we saw this in the last video, but this is the plane that is pokeable. And so it's pretty big, not exactly positioned correctly. So we're going to have to do a couple things. So first, let's add another component called bounds clipper and another component called plane surface. I'm moving clipped plane up top, like in the middle, above my bounds clipper. Okay, so the clipped plane surface, put in our plane surface here. So I'm just going to drag in this game object and drop it. And then for clippers, we need to take our bounds clipper here and drag it onto that. We need to reposition this. If you see this white bounding box here, that needs to go around our button. So I'm just gonna move, and it also moves the surface. You can see. I think we're gonna have to turn it around so we can view the blue side. So I think the blue is the touchable surface. So if it doesn't work, we'll just flip it around and see if that works. Cool, so I'm just, I'm gonna click this and hide it for a second so I can see what's going on if I'm surrounding my button properly. We might have to do a little bit of editing to make it perfect, but it looks like it is surrounding the object well enough. Okay, so I'm gonna click that back on. And then if you go click on your poke interactable, take our surface object, go back to poke interactable, and then on surface patch here, drag in that surface object. So now, as soon as you do that, we can see this blue circle that pops up, and this is the starting distance from where the poke will begin, is a circle, and then if you press in, this end cross here is where the poke will end. So you just have to sort of like trial and error it around here, but as long as the surface of the object here is matching the surface of this circle, you should be good. But we will probably end up tweaking it after we test it out. Next up, on your button or object, go and in the inspector add a component called Interactable Visual. So poke interactable visual, that's what we were missing before. And then in the poke interactable, drag poke interactable parent, And then in button base transform, drag surface onto that area. And you need this visual script in order to actually see the object moving. So that's what creates the whole sensation. So let's double check to see that that works. Oh, I saw it wiggle. There we go. So it could be better because like my finger is going into the object here before it starts to press in. So I'd have to like tweak around the object's position, but it is working and it's pretty fun. Cool. So what do we want to do when we press this button? Well, we want it to change color. That will help with the UI design. And we want something to appear on the screen or the panel to change. So let's work on that next. Okay, go to your poke interactable and make sure you're out of play mode. I always make that mistake. Add a component. Add the interactable Unity event wrapper script. Drag the poke interactable script to the interactable view section here. Let's do when hover, we will change the color, and then when select, we'll change the color for now. So on hover, go to plus and grab your capsule or your object and drag it in here. And then here, go to mesh render and go to material and then change the color. You can select a color that you've already made or create a new one. And then, so that's on hover, and then I'm gonna do another color for select. So you can right click this and copy, and then right click select and paste, and change the color. So I'm just doing red so I can really see the difference. And then also, whenever it's selected, I want to show the pressed panel. So I'm going to do add and drag in pressed panel here and click on game object, set active, and check that on. So first the pressed panel is hiding, and then whenever I select my button here, it will show, or ideally it would show. And then we'll also have to turn off the original panel, which is the background panel. So I'm going to do add, drag in that background panel, and then same thing, game object, set active, and uncheck that. So let's go ahead and test it and see if it works. Dun, 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 dun. This is my environment. My beautiful mountains that are clipping in the distance, which I need to fix. I'll fix later. And then my very cool 3D kind of quick user interface. So let's see if it works. Oh, it turned blue. Turned blue. And then it's red, so it works. So if you see it's on hover, it's not working perfectly. Oh, because it's still blue. I forgot to turn it back to the original color, so I have to do more editing there. So whenever I press this button, the yellow screen shows, and then maybe I could press the second button, and my original panel will show. And I have to resolve this color issue, but it does work. I just want to take this button here. Instead of doing all of that work, I'm going to delete that button and take my poke interactable and paste another one and just position it downward. Gizmo is off, so I did something wrong somewhere in this process, but that's okay. Let's just go in here and just double check that everything looks good. So poke interactable 1. The surface here should be this guy. Boop, 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 boop. Whenever I select this one over here in when select for the second button, I want the pressed panel to not show and the background panel to show. And so that's the only thing I really have to do to get it to work. So I'm gonna test this. Dun, 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 dun. And it feels like I'm actually, ooh, this one disappears. It feels like I'm actually pressing a button. Whee! That's the end of this demo. I hope you have fun creating your home space and your user interfaces, and see some value in poke interactions and ray interactions. So let me know if you have any questions, and have fun in VR.